We're finally to the last section of the Master Duel Staples and Tech Card series, the Extra Deck. If you're a free-to-play player or someone concerned about their resources, I don't think you should just blind craft all of these. You can clearly see that I haven't. However, if you should happen across them in your pack opening adventures, please do not dust them unless you're absolutely sure. They're extremely useful and powerful in a wide variety of current and future strategies. We'll start off with the three main meta synchro payoffs in our current card pool. Herald of the Arclight is both extremely strong in ritual decks as well as decks making synchro plays. Its graveyard effect triggers if it sent off Extra Foolish Burial, Nadir Servant, Dogmatica Maximus and Punishment, Zaborg the Mega Monarch, as well as Diviner of the Heralds, among others. On the field, it's an Omni-Negate that destroys and is very easy to make at level 4, while providing a floodgate for your opponent to have to play around, while establishing their own board. Cyframe Lord Omega is an extremely powerful card. If you're playing Gamma, this guy is the intended payoff for that card's level 8 synchro that it sets up. His on-field effect then lets him clear the deck so that your plays can continue without anything else on your board, and banishes one random card from your opponent's hand face up, possibly sniping a hand trap, or at the very least giving you information on what deck they're playing and how you should construct your board to counteract their game plan. He also allows you to tuck banished cards back into the graveyard during your opponent's standby phase, which can enable you to reuse graveyard effects and gain continual advantage over time. His graveyard effect is also used for sends off of cards like Dogmatica Maximus and Punishment, allowing you to recycle a card from your graveyard, refreshing your one-ofs and limited cards or extra deck every time you send to the graveyard, or even removing a problem card from your opponent's graveyard. He's a sleeper card and not to be overlooked. Borreload Savage Dragon is the current best payoff for the synchro mechanic, equipping a link monster from the graveyard to boost his attack and giving you one non-destroying Omni-Negate per turn as many times as the equipped card has link rating. This usually results in 2 Borrel counters from equipping like a Crystron Halca Fibrax or another similar link 2. Though sometimes you have a link 3 or 4 in the graveyard, making this card into a complete house. He's extremely strong, even if it's not as oppressive as some of the other cards on this list. Speaking of oppressive, it's time to get into Xyz monsters. The current best generic payoffs for this mechanic are some of the strongest monsters in the game right now. We'll start with a card that ruled the meta for a while, even if it sees less play right now than it used to. Then Girsu, Orchest of the Evening Star, is an amazingly powerful and easy to make generic rank 8 Xyz that sends any card your opponent controls to the graveyard without targeting. This card allows you to out powerful boss monsters that are destruction or targeting proof. Don't overlook this guy if your deck plays a lot of level 8 monsters. He's almost always worth the extra deck slot as a sort of contingency plan against towers-like monsters. True King of all Calamities, also called VFD, or Very Fun Dragon for his Japanese name, is a disgustingly powerful rank 9 Xyz that effectively ends the duel against most decks, whenever his effect is used during your opponent's turn. Without the ability to activate monster effects or attack, it's very difficult for your opponent to change the board state, usually allowing the VFD wielder what is effectively a free turn to get a hit in without a response. He's weak to cards like Gamma, Imperm, Droplet, and Chalice, but is still extremely powerful in this meta nonetheless. If your deck can easily make level 9 monsters like Invoked, Virtual World, or Generator, it's definitely worth running this guy. Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder is an insane card, and if you played Master Duel in the ladder, you've likely already encountered it. As a payoff for the entire Xyz mechanic, he's unmatched in terms of splashability and easily justifies the use of one extra deck slot in any deck that makes Xyz monsters with any sort of consistency. Also, he has to be made in main phase too if you're not hard making him, so he's often paired with Downward Magician to give you another material, allowing the use of his effect twice. 2 quick effect board wipes that aren't even once per turn or once per chain is insanely powerful and impressive, and he can often spell the end of the game single-handedly. Link Karibo and Salamangreat Almirage are very powerful cards, not for what they do, but for what they are. Link 1 monsters are some of the strongest in the entire mechanic, allowing you to easily trigger the graveyard effects of monsters or gain surplus materials of different attributes or types. You should keep at least a copy of each of these if you pull them, as they're used in Tri-Brigade, Invoked, Lyrilisk, and more. Crystron Halca Fibrax is probably the card that has had the singular most effect on the ban list. Many of the most iconic tuners in this game's history have flirted with the Forbidden and Limited list because of this one Link monster specifically. He's incredibly generic and able to be made in almost any deck, merely requiring a tuner and any other monster, and allows the summon of a low-level tuner monster from your deck whenever he's summoned. This allows for incredibly good link climbing plays when paired with Effect Veiler and Selene, the Queen of Master Magicians, often resulting in Access Code Talker on offense or Apollousa, the Bow, the Goddess, when setting up your board, just from that initial investment of a tuner and non-tuner, which is often far more powerful than what you can make with synchro monsters for the same combination. He's absolutely worth holding onto a copy, as Konami has had such a reluctance to kill this one card that they have been willing to ban or limit multiple other ones just to keep him around. Nightmare Phoenix and Unicorn are very powerful link monsters that allow you the benefit of discarding a card for targeted removal. Phoenix targets spell traps that destroy, and Unicorn targets anything to get spun back into the deck. These effects are powerful enough for most decks to consider these cards by themselves, but Unicorn is also useful for what he is, which is an easy to make Link 3 that allows the player to ladder into Access Code Talker and target Unicorn with his effect, making a 5300 attacker. IP Masquerena is an incredibly straightforward one as far as the Link mechanic goes. The ability to Link Summon as a quick effect during your opponent's turn turns your Nightmare Phoenix and Unicorn into quick disruptions, and her protection effect makes your Link monsters much harder to out. There's not really a lot to say here. She increases the versatility and flexibility of almost every deck that she's in. Union Carrier is a degenerate and extremely powerful card that's crucial to a bunch of strategies in this metagame. Flight Machine decks like ABC and Cyber Dragon can use Union Carrier as an easy way to search Galaxy Soldier by equipping Photon Orbital to itself, while Drytron can make use of this card to equip and then send Ava to the graveyard, gaining card advantage. And any deck making Borreload Savage Dragon or any other Dark Dragon can equip that Dark Dragon with Dragon Buster Destruction Sword to extra deck lock your opponent. Curious the Lightsworn Dominion is an interesting one. As a card, they are difficult to make, but with an incredibly powerful effect, sending any card in your deck to the graveyard, and then milling 3 additional cards afterwards. For any deck with a strong graveyard game like Lightsworn, obviously, or Chaos Zombie, Phantom Knight, Burning Abyss, this card is very powerful and worth considering building your deck around. Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos is a very generic but powerful card to have access to. Any deck that uses level 7 or higher monsters should consider him. He's not as good when you're building a board going first, but as part of cleaning up a messy board state, in any turn with a combat phase, BLS SOC quickly becomes inevitable. Selene, the Queen of Master Magicians, is probably the second most powerful link climbing enabler in this game. Provided there are 3 or more spell cards in the graveyards or on the field, and a level 3 or lower spellcaster monster in your graveyard, she easily ladders into any link 4 that can be made with 2 generic materials for free, namely Apollousa, Avramax, and Access Code Talker. This makes her a powerful combo extender both for going first as well as going second. 4 main meta payoffs for the Link mechanic are all very powerful cards with different use cases. Access Code Talker is easily the strongest Link monster, and almost a must include in any deck that can make use of the Link mechanic. When summoned with Unicorn or Selene as material, he gets boosted up to 5300, and the clause that his summon and effects can't be responded to means your opponent basically just have to wait and watch while he picks your board apart. Access Code often just spells the end of the game, though he carries with him no inherent protection, meaning it's not very challenging to out an established one for most modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks if they survive the turn that he summoned. Apollousa, Bow, the Goddess is a bit less straightforward, but still obviously very powerful. While she is high investment, some of the other combos we've established earlier in this video can make her as cheap as 2 materials of the correct typing. She's a centerpiece of many a Link spam deck, given that she provided incredibly powerful arrows, as well as an effect that can protect you from hand traps on your own turn or disrupt your opponent's plays on theirs. While she's not super hard to clear or deal with, Apollousa paired with a couple of cards to protect her often forces your opponent to utilize the battle phase to remove her, or simply letting her repeatedly disrupt their plays. Borrelsword Dragon is another card that is similar to Access Code that is situationally better and situationally worse. In simpler game states, Borrelsword Dragon plus any other monster with at least 2000 attack is death, which makes the OTK with him a little bit easier than it would be with Access Code Talker sometime. Borrelsword, of course, requires 3 materials, and that's a drawback, and he doesn't come with it the built-in pop effect or the inability to be responded to, so that does make him a bit more situational, and the decks that can make use of him probably differ in their combo lines than Halca Fibrax, Selene, Access Code discussed above. Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax is a strong monster that is incredibly difficult for some decks to out, especially when he's been made by using IP Masquerena as material. He's about as easy to make as Access Code Talker, given that the same Halca Fibrax, Valor, and Selene lines previously discussed works to make him. He's a judgment call for a lot of decks that has fallen somewhat out of favor, but he's still strong, especially in a best of one blind ladder environment where a non-targetable, sometimes non-destroyable monster that can't be beaten in battle might prove useful in games that get messy or don't go according to either player's plan. That concludes part 3 of this video series. If there's anything you think I missed or need further explained, please feel free to ask in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, it would mean a lot to me if you would subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends who are also learning Master Duel. We're a small channel, and our first milestone we're aiming for is 100 subscribers, which I think should be achievable by the end of February at the absolute latest. May all your hands be playable and all your pulls be blessed. I hope to see you out there on the ladder and right back here on this channel in the near future for more Master Duel content. See ya!